Good morning, Rian Kutsia, Fortis Proactive Defense Solutions. I'm back with Duan Salia, the mastermind behind the BattleFit fitness program. Duan, good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
We're talking functional fitness, and this is episode 1 of the series Survive and Thrive. Duan, let's start by talking about the foundation of functional fitness and what it means, like really means, beyond the looks. Why is things like strength and endurance and mobility so important in your everyday life?
So if you break it down, I'm gonna look. We can talk about this for 200, 300 hours on the foundation of functional fitness, but it boils down to training for life instead of looks. And what I mean by that is training for functionality instead of physical appearance. And there is a place for both, as I'll get to it when we get to the movements. But the foundation of foundation of functional fitness is your strength, your balance, your cardio, but then it adds stuff like stability, mobility, and stabilizing, twisting. So it's movements that you only get through what we call compound movements. And to break compound movements down to, instead of, for instance, nothing wrong again, but a bodybuilder wants to isolate his chest to build it as big as possible. A compound movement will be something like a push-up with a jump, a clapping push-up or whatever, to incorporate more than one muscle to make that pec not bigger, but function better. So by compounding movements, it means using more than one muscle. Instead of isolating a muscle, we use more. Now you ask, like, for instance, why is that important? So if I have to explain it in a simple term, bodybuilders are extremely effective at moving object A to B in a lateral movement or a stagnant movement or isolation. But carrying a bag, it takes your legs, your back, your traps, all your muscles to carry that bag. For instance, farmer's walk or so forth. So for everyday life and being functional, you have to incorporate functional fitness. So that's the broad term. You can break it down now easy into a lot of different places, but I'll get to stuff like, I'll get into different movements and explain why it's functional and what's good about it. So for instance, if you take movement, like I just said, instead of isolating movement, by lifting weights and doing it in a compound manner. So doing a stagnant squat at the rack, you isolate your quads. Very good at building the strength for those quads. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's got a place in our training as well, because the stronger you get the separate muscles, the better they work together. So 100% is place for that as well. But if you do a squat and you jump onto a box, for instance, now you add all the fast twitching muscles. You add the balance, the twisting, the landing, the extension. So if you have to get in a real life situation like pushing a car, it's not just an isolated muscle that's pushing it. Our body knows how to work together, how to function, and how to move objects, if I can say it like that. So functional fitness is all about being strong, being functional, instead of looking strong. Can you have both? Most likely you can. I mean, there's people that can, but in my personal experience doing bodybuilding and doing functional fitness, it's hard to get the beach look. Although some of the CrossFitters look amazing, I'm just saying that huge isolating look, you tend to burn a bit more muscle in sacrifice for functionality. It's like running. You burn muscle, but it's for a good cause. It's turning muscle into functionality instead of bloating, looking big, but not being functional. So functional fitness is about performance instead of looks, if I can sum it up like that.
And also at the end of the day, to make everyday tasks that little bit easier, because
100%.
I saw this past week again, somebody at the local groceries venue, very well known name. I'm not gonna name it now. And there was a guy who he obviously had some or other health situation. He literally couldn't carry, and it wasn't even many bags. Took them out of his trolley, but he was battling to get it to the car. So one of the car guards actually saw this and came up and carry these bags for him. So this guy he's obviously there's something going on. There's a problem somewhere. But that to me is a mundane task. And when you get to a stage where you can't do that because your body isn't working well, it's almost a bit of a prison sentence in itself if you can't do things like that, sweep your floor, pick up something from the floor.
If you have a condition, sure, it can help. But a lot of people, and I'll say it like it is, I'm not saying that guy, but a lot of people are like that because they were lazy. They didn't do basic movements when they had the ability, and then you lose the ability to do basic movements. And then it's all, I sit with it a lot being a trainer. You get a guy that's 65 that will tell you, 20 years ago, I ran the comrades and stuff. And I'm like, but why did you just lose it? Look, injury, sure, or something mentally, sure. But I'm talking about normal people that just almost fades away. You don't have to. On Battlefit program now, there's moms, dads, old guys that's performing extremely well. That shows that if you consistently pick it up, and I'm not saying even crazy workouts, basic movements, which I'll get to. I've got a list here of movements everyone can just do in your room, in your garage. The Battlefit app, the whole Battlefit app is written to do it at home. So there's no excuse. You can do it on holiday. It doesn't matter. We've got guys on farms doing it. But it's just the committing to it. And if you understand, it's more than a workout. It's for functionality, like functional fitness. It's going to benefit you in your life. So let's get to it. The next question says strength training for real application. So I can get into this. So if you look at building strength for real life application, it's everyday tasks. So people think like everyday task as running. No. If you have a job where you just have to, like you said, carry paper for that matter, carry your laptop bag upstairs, climbing stairs, there's everyday application that you can benefit hugely from. And then one that people don't think of me, which is a huge motivation for me, is getting older. My main goal is to be able to play with my children without getting tired. So I like to play. They must be tired before dad. I want them, when they call me to play, they must be ready. That's my whole goal. I play them till they fall over, not the other way around. So playing with your children in your job, cutting the grass on a Saturday, the gardener doesn't show up. How many guys now just sit? He didn't show up, that's it. Because they don't have the ability to move the lawnmower and push it and whatever it entitles them. But everyday tasks can be anything.
Just think of this. You go on holiday to the sea and you can go and take a walk on the beach at sunset because, you're too unfit, whatever the case might be. So you can't walk the 2 kilometers along the beach and catch that sunset. You have to sit on your chair and that you see it as well. You can't participate.
Yes.
I think that's a waste of your experience today. So if you can prevent that and just put yourself in a situation where you can make a beach walk, it's adding quality.
Yeah. And I was on a hunt last weekend, and again, some of the guys can't hunt. They can't walk. The slow walk. They can't carry the rifle for 2 kilometers. So they lose the ability to enjoy basic needs. As I love hunting, but just to do a basic activity. So, and then it's a laughing matter. Peter can't carry the gun. But it's actually a very sad reality. Because what happens if your family needs you or a situation requires you to step up and you physically can't? And again, people, it doesn't take a lot. If you give a half an hour a day, which is our average workouts, half an hour a day, I promise you will 200-300% increase over time. Like it doesn't take, it's not hours. You're not training for marathons here. You can easily make a difference.
What happens if your spouse trips and falls and you need to pick her up to put her on a bed or a couch or whatever so that you can look at it, check if she's hurt herself, something like that? What happens then? What happens if your child falls and you battle to pick your child up for it? I mean, it's completely different if you've got
No, but
back
it's
that's
true.
three-quarters
And
broken,
like I
that's
tell
a different
people,
matter.
it is a very quick, like, let's take the child example. Let's say the bag that I let people train with is more or less 40 kilograms. So it's a small child, right? My son is now 7 years old. He's about 38, 40 kilograms. Right? Okay. Some of the workouts I let the guys pick it up 20 or 30 times in the workout. Some people scale it to 5. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the workouts. I'm just saying. So in a situation where there's a kid that got hurt, I can pick it up and move. Not because you've done crazy 100-kilometer races. No, you just on a regular basis tested your body against resistance of a similar weight. It's a very simple thing. Or you do a push-up with your body weight. What's the average guy's weight in South Africa? The average man is about, let's say, 70, 80 kilograms. So if he do push-ups, we can break it down to 40 in the hand, for instance. So he does push-ups. His body learns to control weight. When he picks his wife up, it's compound, it's not new, it's not a big shock. But people sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing because they think it's either I run 100 kilometers or I don't run. They don't realize by just going for a walk half an hour a day, you're already significantly improving your cardiovascular system. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be vigorously training.
I think there is, and this is my opinion, but I think there is a misconception, and this misconception is possibly due to the fact that there are so many fitness influencers now on social media, and they're all in this amazing shape, etc., etc. And I think a lot of people have the idea in the back of their minds that when you train, you are training for something, like you're running the Comrades, or you are working on that gym, of that beach body, something. And there's nothing wrong with those goals, but the idea that you are getting at is more. That's not, if you get that, that's fine. If you do get that beach body, that's perfect. That's almost a byproduct. But the idea is more on enabling your body to just function properly during your day. If you have to climb stairs somewhere and you have to climb that set of stairs 6 times a day, in whatever, as part of what you're doing, then you can do that. It's not a hassle for you. If you live in a duplex and you have to climb the stairs a couple times a day, you can do it. It's not a problem. You have to carry something up to your cupboard, go put in your cupboard. Exactly. That's the kind of almost simplistic things that at the end of the day counts more points than having that beach body specifically.
So if we get into the key benefits of following a functional fitness routine, if I can call it that, we said the question was training for real life application, but if I just call it the benefits of it, you get like improve your daily functionality. That's just what we were speaking about: carrying groceries, climbing stairs, carrying your children, playing with kids. The weekend warrior, meaning someone invites you for a hike, no problem, ready to go. You get there, the lady's hurt, she can't carry a bag, no problem, I'll carry it. I'm used to it, I've been training it. So just the key benefits of improving your daily functionality. Then stuff that people don't think of, me, especially older people, young as well, but especially older people, is injury prevention. If you train compound movements with low resistance, so what I mean by that is, if you squat 300 kilograms, yes, your quads get big, but at 65, the injury risk is too high. So if you do, for instance, air squats that I let the people do, or jumping squats with body weight, you do a compound movement on your leg, your joints get stronger, the muscle gets worked more. So not only are you building strength, what I mean is, if you sit all day, the muscle becomes weaker and it's easier to get an injury on it. That's just logical. So you're working the muscle, you're working the cognitive tissue, you're working blood flow, you're working everything, and the muscle learns to absorb. Now, why is that important? If you look at a fit person falling, the way they fall, the body, the muscles are almost, the hand goes out, it just falls better. So what I mean by that is, go look at a judo guy fall. He knows exactly how to fall. Why? Because the absorption from the muscle knows how to fall. Now, a stronger person will absorb a fall a lot better. It's again just logical. Muscle protects the bone, it just carries on. So just on an injury prevention, so if you're 65 and you go, I shouldn't be doing this, just 5 or 10 squats, more than not doing it, will already benefit hugely on stuff like injury prevention, which you never even would have thought of as a benefit. People, it's like you say, people get stuck on the beach bar, the race. They forget about the race is a end goal or something that's coming along. And the beach bar is a byproduct of the hard work. But the actual benefit of being fit is daily. It's that heart attack you avoid because your cardio system is strong. No, you didn't even know you're avoiding it, for instance. But there's huge benefits in just a simple fall. You trip in the garden and you fall. You would have broken a hip maybe, and now you don't. So there's huge benefit, and people always ask me, and we've had this conversation here, how do I stay motivated training alone? And I said, no one else can motivate you. Real motivation comes from within. And when I'm alone in my garage and I do a 500 burpee workout, and I do think this is stupid. Why? And then you think, I can outplay my child. I'm fit. If something happens, I can move. And I'm getting to movements now, which will explain that better. But so I try and stay wary of every move I do as a huge benefit, regardless if I do the race. The race is just at the end when I'm already fit. The journey there is what's the real benefits. Then we get into something else. It's something nobody thinks of me, and I wrote it down here because it's something I didn't even think of till I just started going through this for the podcast. It's something like better posture. Now you think of us sitting now. You never sit with good. People talk about good posture and you buy chairs, but a guy at the office very rarely focuses on a great posture. But by training, I always say to the guys, it's not how it works at Orny, so don't quote this, but I always try and explain to the guys, if you sit for 2 hours in a bad posture, a good workout at home can almost eliminate the bad posture because the muscles get activated, they get back into place, they get stronger, they can absorb that bad posture. So without you knowing, your posture will improve. Now, why is that important as well? Not just for sitting. If you start talking about carrying a child for 2 kilometers, your car broke down, or carrying your bulletproof in a situation, or the groceries, the stronger the posture, the longer you can last. It's almost like zone 2 training for the body. Because if the posture breaks down, everything starts breaking down. And people don't think of it. When you run a 100-kilometer race, people go, yes, how's your legs and stuff? It's not. Your posture starts breaking down, which means you start hunching over, and now all the bad stuff happens. Posture break, even in weightlifting. CrossFitters, gymnastics, they will all tell you, you activate your core first. And that's to have a good straight posture. Because if you think of a deadlift, if your posture breaks, you're putting against your own back. If you have a strong posture, it's just a simple thing. So there's huge benefits in just carrying your groceries with a good posture. And what's the benefit of that? Not tweaking a back knee. Not small stuff you won't even notice. But it's crazy to me how many people think if you train, it's to run that race. They forget about all the benefits in between. And having a functional fitness routine let you enjoy the benefits without even knowing you're enjoying them. But if you understand these things, the training becomes a lot easier. Like I tell my old people as well, break the workout down, make it easier. If I say 50 push-ups and you can only do 20, it's 20 more than you did. Forget about the 50. Next week we do 22. And even if we don't, if we stay there, it's massively beneficial for you. So that's the posture part. Then there's some principles to following these type of programs that I thought it's worth mentioning for people to understand. And the one is to focus on the compound movements, because isolation has a very, very big role to play in a weakness muscle. So for instance, if you have to carry something and you felt amazing, but your quads got sore, it's good to isolate the quad and work it. So there is place for it. So again, I come back to the way we train in zone 2, it's 80-20. 80% of my work will be done at a zone 2, and in this case, a compound movements. So it'll be your burpees. You can see our programming on battlefit.co.za, but it's burpees and push-ups. It's all compound. But if a guy comes to me and he says to me, while I was doing the push-ups, it was easy, but my lower back got very stiff or sore, then it's good to isolate that lower back and work it after the compound movement. Or on a different day, not leaving the compound, but to isolate it. So it's got its place. It's just where does it fit in? And then so again, that is 80-20. Never think of, if you talk functional training, on isolating it. That is a completely different thing. And the reason I'm hammering it is, if you isolate the big muscles, they become so strong they dominate the small muscles, which then completely lacks in growth. So if you have quads like this, the small muscles in between doesn't have to work. So that is the main problem we have with isolating. That's where compound movements come in at the 80%. Because if you can get the whole body to fire up, and what I mean by fire up is, let's take a box jump. I tell two guys, one bodybuilder, huge, big, 120 kilogram, very lean, good, amazing looking, hard disciplined. I don't take anything away. But I tell him to jump on the box. He's going to muscle his quads, very big quads. He's going to do it 5 or 6 times, and he can't anymore because the muscles tired. But you take a CrossFitter or a functional guy, any guy, even a small guy that trains at load operator, that's just well balanced. When he jumps, you'll see the arms, you'll see the legs, the back, everything activates and fires up. So you can do a lot more because he's got a lot more to pull from. If the quads get tired, he can pull from the hammies. If the hammies get tired, you have a lot more functional movement ability. So that's why we don't believe in isolating only. We only isolate where it's needed. So that's the other thing. And then the different movements, because I get this quite a lot. What is functional? What is the compound movements based off of? Because it's easy for me to say to you, pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups. But it comes down to simple fundamentals. And that is pulling, pushing, hanging, carrying, squatting, and twisting. So if you think of a push-up, it's a pushing. If you think of pull-ups, it's pulling. If you think of dips, it's pushing. So your compound movements is where you do pushing, pulling, all those that I've just mentioned, but on a high rep. So when you isolate, you'll do 5 reps of heavyweight. We believe in like 20 dips, 10 times, or whatever the case might be for your body. But it's incorporating all the muscles into that, because I don't know if you've seen, if someone does a pull-up, it's the grip on the forearms, it's the lats activating the whole lower back, almost into the glutes. Then the legs is carried, so the core, it's a whole body weight movement. So that is the fundamentals I use, is the pushing, pulling, hanging, carrying, twisting, squatting, balancing. There's a few more now that you can go into nitty-gritty, but when I do programming. Now, how does that apply in your real life? So if you take your lower body, you'll have your squats, lunges, jumps. Upper bodies, you'll have push-ups, dips, pull-ups. Core will be your sit-ups, ab wheels, flutter kicks, all those. But then compound movements will be a jumping squat. So now we take the squat that's normally an isolation of your quad. We add a jump. Now it's the whole body that's working. A burpee. Instead of doing just a push-up, which is already a compound movement, we add to it. You add the burpee, which adds the jump when you get up from the push-up. And then something like a thruster, where we do with the pipe. Instead of just squatting or just shoulder pressing, we do them together. For those that don't know, go look on an app or Google it, thrusters. And by doing that, imagine you get in a situation where you're getting shot at, you fall down. That's a burpee. You get back up. Imagine you get to a car, you're running away, a car drives in front of you, you have to jump over it. It's a box jump. So all the movements I try and let you do. A pull-up is just climbing over a fence, getting away. Whatever it is, if you take lunges, if you know how to shoot around corners and you're in the prone position or whatever, it goes from lunge up, and so you can move. So the body understands the movement. So I try and program our programming with stuff your daily use. Like my farmer walks with the bag. It's nothing other than a grocery bag or a child that you just carry. But because the body's used to it and you've been doing it for so long, it's brilliant. A thruster is nothing else than picking someone up and pushing him up, giving him, or taking your kit, loading it, or whatever the case might be. It's all functional movements. So to dumb it down, it's movements that's functional in the real life. And that's the basis of the thing.
I think maybe to finalize part 1, maybe just mention to the viewers and the listeners whereabouts you are standing with the app. So just to keep them posted with the progress, because obviously that is a very big thing that we are waiting to get into motion. So just so that they know this is coming. This is big news. This is going to make
So we
everybody's life so
partnered
much easier.
with a company. Yeah, we partnered with a company to write the app for Battlefit. At the moment, we are releasing workouts on a WhatsApp basis, which we wanted it more professional, more feedback, where we can more communicate with the client and also get his feedback and help him in a better way. Because not everyone owns a Garmin or Apple Watch or whatever. So the app is in beta mode now, or testing mode now, where we're testing it with some of our loyal hard trainers, if I can say that, so we can get real live feedback. It's going exceptionally well. We just don't want to launch a product that's not 100% been tested and ready to go. So I can't give a timeline on when exactly it will be launched, but it is going great. It won't be, it's in the near future. We're just figuring out like the delivering of the workouts to make it clear and simple for all standards. So intermediate, pro, advanced, from beginner. So you can literally join up where you are as anyone, and it must be clear to you what you must do. So we're just fine-tuning that. But the app is done. The app is been implemented. It's going great. It's now fine-tuning the little things, so they can expect it in the near future. I will, however, every Friday on our episodes give us an update. So if they keep listening to our episodes, we'll have updates, and hopefully within 2 or 3, I can say, download the app, it's launched.
Well, there you have it. Great things are coming, and hopefully soon. Also, keep an eye out for episode 2 in this series. The series is called Survive and Thrive, and it's all about functional fitness in daily life. Duan, thank you, and to the viewers, as usual, like the video, subscribe to the channel, smash that bell icon so you can get notifications for new videos. And this episode will also be available on the podcast on Spotify. The podcast is called Quick Shots within the next few days, and thereafter on YouTube as well, on the Fortis Wits YouTube page. If you are interested in speaking to Duan about anything to do with Battlefit, there will be, the link will be displayed on the video for the duration in the top right hand corner, but there will also be a link in the description below. Check it out and contact Duan. You will certainly not be sorry. And as far as loan operator training courses are concerned, as always, there will be a link in the description. Check it out, and we look forward to seeing you on a range one of these days. That's it from me, Duan. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.